Are we really free? Alright, this is kind of a loaded question with two ways of thinking about it. I'm going to be using Forrest Gump for examples because most people have seen that movie. Alright, so the real question in freedom lies in free will. Do we have free will? Or are we just monotonous and slaves to the universe around us? On one side, we have the belief in fate, and on the other, a belief in randomness. So, from now on, I'll be calling the fate theory the Mama theory, because Forrest Mama believes that the will of God determines where we go and where we end up and what we end up doing, whereas Lieutenant Dan believes that we're all just floating around randomly through space and time and we don't really have any say in where we go. But see, there's the problem. Both ways, we don't have any say in where we go. With Mama's theory, we have no free will because somebody else decides for us where we go and where we end up. But with Lieutenant Dan's, we have none either. Because if you're playing roulette, you have no choice in where the ball ends up. It's completely random, right? And just the same way, we can't be held responsible for our actions if they're truly random. And even if we have the final say, could we have made any other decision based on the factors that led up to that decision being made? Let me give you an example. We can always make sense of people's decisions because of what I like to call because statements. We can always trace back a decision to the point of its origin, which is normally like the beginning of the fucking universe, by using because statements. So here's an example. Let's say that there is a smoker in a non-smoking area, and there's a cop right next to her. So she notices the cop, she notices it's a non-smoking area, and she lights up anyways. And she gets fined, obviously. And people would say, well, that was her choice, that was completely her own free will that made her do that. But is it really? She had the nicotine receptors in her brain, they were screaming out for nicotine. Oh, mine are right now, actually. They were screaming out for nicotine. So she lit up the cigarette. The nicotine receptors in her brain were screaming out for nicotine because she was addicted to cigarettes. Because she had started smoking at a young age. Because she wanted to fit in with her peer group. Because. You see where I'm going with this? And so we're left with a question. From whence come free will? If things are random, we don't have free will. If things are fate, we don't have free will either. So perhaps our own minds do not abide by the factors leading up to the decisions that we have made. Maybe we're loose cannons in the structure of reality because we have been given consciousness, self-awareness, egos, and especially emotions. Emotions can be considered an almost entirely human idea. Emotions like true love and true hate, they can affect what we do in a completely untraceable way. Sometimes you can't even use because statements about them. This could be a result of the ghost in the machine, like I talked about in my previous video, trying to come out through these emotions and these actions. However, on the other hand, we can even kind of make because statements about emotions with the help of biology. You might feel like you love somebody. Because human beings take so long to grow into adolescence, so fucking long compared to any other animals, we had to mate for life, and that's the reason we fall in love. Or maybe it's something more than that. Maybe, really, we do have souls and soulmates. Who the fuck knows? The question of are we really free is more or less up for debate. Personally, I would like to think yes, even though most signs point to no. We're all just kind of slaves of the universe around us, but it's gotta be more than that, right? It's pretty frightening to think that we're all meant to be doing exactly what we're doing right now, and there's no way to stray from that path. Criminals have to be criminals. You know, presidents have to be presidents. Isn't there some say in the matter? Not according to Mama. It's also frightening to think that the universe is completely random in its events, because this world that we've created, the structure, it's so delicate in that theory, and it's got to be a little bit more stable than that. With one quark that's out of place in the entire universe, it could collapse back in on itself and kill us all. Or maybe this reality that we live in is just a figment of our own imaginations. Maybe we're just brains floating in a vat. But who the fuck knows? Me, personally, I'm going to say yes, we have free will because we just fucking do, okay? And if you have your own opinions, you can let me know. Mama. Mama.